All right. Well, welcome back to Cape Fear Calling. I'm Ann Cardona here with Rich Cardona,
Yep.
and we are at a very special place called Mess Hall today with
Yes.
Sam Stager. We were just here last week, finally, for breakfast.
Yeah.
We'd only been here for lunch, dinner, heard amazing things, got to check out the breakfast, and after breakfast, we were sold, said they're next on our interview list, and Sam agreed to
Yeah.
come out here and chat with us.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on, Sam.
Thanks for having me.
We would love to get to know a little bit more about Mess Hall and
Yeah.
kind of the first question I like to ask is why Wilmington and kind of what made you stay in Wilmington or made you come to Wilmington and kind of what made you choose your location here.
Yeah. I've been born and raised here. Never lived anywhere else, which is pretty rare for the area. I remember growing up, all my friends would just be like, "Oh, I can't wait to get out of this place." And I've always just kind of been, I don't know, I've always wanted to die here, which is a really weird thing to say when you're a child. But I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to stay here forever.
Yeah.
And that's just been. I'm pretty rooted here. Have a good community,
Yeah.
and I've just never really had the desire to go anywhere else. So
Well, that's an interesting take because you've been here a lot longer than a lot of people here, including us. We've only been here about 3 years, but what have you noticed, I guess, business-wise, what's kind of happening in the Cape Fear area or Wilmington specifically?
Oh man, it's insane. I mean, if you look at, I'm 32 now, so it's changed so much over the last 32 years. But especially, I think the last 10 years, we've seen so many people move here.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, bittersweet. Like, I kind of like the small town feel, and we live outside of city limits, so it's nice. But it's slowly kind of expanding out that way, and I'm like, this is not great because there's more people, but also business-wise, it's great.
Yeah.
And really, like, for the offerings, we're seeing stuff that we've never had offered in Wilmington
Yeah.
come to Wilmington. So we're getting more of we still have the small town feel, but then we're getting more big city stuff too, I feel like,
Yeah.
which is it's cool. It's a nice kind of, you get the best of both worlds a little bit.
I agree. I love it. I love it here.
So what do you think Mess Hall brings to Wilmington? What do you think you guys as a restaurant can kind of bring that's special?
Man, I'm pretty biased about burgers. The cool thing about any food, and burgers especially, there's so many different ways to do it. And so I don't like to say that I think we have the best burger in Wilmington. We have my favorite burger in Wilmington because it's how I like burgers.
Yeah.
But then if you like a big fat patty, then it's not going to be your favorite burger, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that I kind of shy away from like trying to be the best burger in Wilmington, that kind of thing. But I think as a local, like, I really do care about Wilmington and just like trying to make Wilmington a cooler place. So that's kind of, I think that's a unique thing. It's not so much like, let me just make as much money as I can off
Sure.
of Wilmington. I'm just trying to make Wilmington a cooler place that people want to come to.
So burger, and we'll get into the menu and all those other things, but so Mess Hall, just to rewind a little bit, has only been in existence for how long?
So we opened in July of 2020. So we're coming up on our 3-year anniversary.
Your pandemic baby.
Yeah.
So, but did it just the idea came then, or were you wheels spinning a couple years before that?
It's been kind of always a restaurant has been on my radar for really as long as I can remember. That's always been something that I've been super interested in, and I thought it was going to be something that later in life I would be able to pull off. And we had just kind of a crazy few years where we had 2 separate trees fall on our house and 2 separate hurricanes. And it was really, we kind of call it our 5 years of hell. Like, we just had 5 consistent years that it was just like, what is happening? Everything seems like it's going wrong, and it was hectic. We had 2 kids in that span too. And it was just a wild time, and we kind of just put our heads down and pushed through and came out of it and had 2 beautiful kids, and we were financially able to we had some money that we could invest in.
Yeah.
And so originally I was going to do spices and rubs, just start part-time, but I kind of felt the pull to do something full-time. And I was looking at food trucks, and then just kind of right place at the right time, ended up in Mess Hall, in our original location. And that was, I think I committed to it in somewhere around like November, December of 2019.
Oh, dang.
And so we were working on it, and then our original goal was like March, April of 2020, which obviously was just
A great time.
a
great time for everybody.
Yeah, it all was crazy. And so we got delayed, but then ended up opening in July. And so it was right after in-person dining was allowed in Wilmington again. I think people were just itching to get out of the house. And we had a nice big open space, lots of outdoor seating, and I think people were comfortable coming here.
Yeah.
And it all just kind of fell into place. Also put us in this weird spot where like we had this like 5 years that was really tough, and then we came out of that and we were like thriving and felt like it was the best years of our life.
Yeah.
During COVID, and everybody else is like, this is terrible, like everybody's lives are falling apart and everybody's struggling, and we're like, oh, this is weird, because we're really happy and it's great. It was almost like we had like a little bit of guilt with being successful and feeling good, but we got over that, so it's good.
That's good. And then what prompted you to move to this new location?
So our original location, our kitchen was just a little 8-foot by 20-foot cargo container, which would have been great if my estimations, like when I was thinking about how many people we would serve, I was like, man, if we could do like 120 people a day, we'll be fine. Like that was my goal. And I was like, if we could get up to 200 people a day, that'd be crazy. We'd be so busy. And now we're consistently doing, just on a regular weekday, we're doing probably 400 to 500 people pretty consistently. And so it just blew what I thought was we were going to do out of the water. And so our kitchen was just way too small, and we were busting at the seams. And I was looking into expanding our kitchen and trying to make that location work. And it just kind of, it seemed like it was just going to be, we were always going to be kind of struggling.
Yeah.
And then I found out about this building and looked at it, and I just kind of loved it. And with the money we were going to put into the other space, it's like we might as well just do a new location. So
The money you were going to put to expand the other one, it was almost a better deal to come here.
Right, yeah. It just made more sense to have. And we shared the other building with, I think there were 5 other businesses in the building, which was awesome. It was definitely had like a community feel, which was nice. But there's also drawbacks from that with being a restaurant, because we're regulated by the health department and everything. It just didn't. There's stuff that was really hard to make work, so it made sense to have our own space.
A real quick question on the response. So you were hoping, you're like 150 will be good, 200 would be amazing, but like what were you seeing? And I think I remember the very first time I looked this up after everyone was telling me about it, there's like some not awesome Yelp reviews, but it's not about the quality of the food. It was like I had to wait forever.
Oh, yeah.
So like tell me about the response and the feedback you were getting, good and bad.
Yeah, man. So I think Wilmington is really good. It's just a great community. Like businesses in Wilmington are awesome.
Yeah.
People in Wilmington are awesome. And so for the most part, it's all good stuff. Like we get a lot of good things, even if it's not your favorite burger in Wilmington. People are like, that's a great burger. I love it.
Yeah.
People love Tots. And even we would go on, because our kitchen was so small, we would go on an hour and a half wait almost every single weekend, and it was just crazy. So yeah, and to put it in perspective, I was planning on like 120 to 150 people. On Saturdays, we were doing at least 500 people every single Saturday, and so it just we weren't able to handle it. So most people were fine. They would just order their food. We'd tell them to wait, and they'd go and order beer and like hang out. And then it was great because they're like 3 beers in by the time their food gets there. And they're like, this is the best thing I've ever had. It was great. But then there's always people that just like to be angry and don't understand. Something we get a lot is like, oh, it takes 5 minutes to make a burger. And we're like, yes, this is true. But when you have 100 burgers come in at one time, you can't make.
And then when you see it
can't
too,
keep up. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, so. I think people just don't understand, and our process too, with going on the wait, we could do things that would probably reduce the weight, but then it would reduce the quality of the burger as well. Yeah. And that's something that I'm not like, just come on a Tuesday when we're slow. Like come on a slow day if you want to not wait. And that's just always been my mentality, because I don't want to, I don't know, I'm not trying to like, I feel like I'd be a little bit of a sellout if I was making a worse burger just so I could sell more and make more money on it. So that's just not, I don't know. But yeah, people.
You dig it?
We had a lot of bad reviews too early on, because we would get so busy, and it was in the middle of COVID still, and so we would just have lots of people come to get burgers, and I would get angry emails about how people weren't comfortable coming in because we had too many people in the building or too many people there. And that was a really weird thing too, because I was like, look, do you understand how much restaurants are struggling right now? I can't turn people away. Like, we have to, we need this business. So yeah, that's always, I haven't perfected that, navigating bad reviews. That's always,
Oh, it's a good problem to have if there's a wait time, and it's because you're not sacrificing quality.
Yeah, but it seems like the wait's better at the new location. Because I know we came on a weekend. We came a little bit earlier, but we were kind of expecting it to be long, and it was a lot of people in here, but it didn't take more than maybe 10, 15 minutes to get our food. So it's a little easier here.
Yeah, and when we reopened, so we were closed for about 6 months from the old space to moving into here.
Dang.
And our first 2 weeks, we just had, I think everybody was just itching for mess hall. So everybody showed up, and our first 2 weeks were insane. And we were right back to going on, an hour to an hour and a half wait sometimes. But if you looked at the numbers, we were doing like 200 people more than we ever did at our old spot. And I was like, oh, I thought that we were going to lose the wait. But what happened is just more people showed up, and they're used to the wait, and they were fine. But we've gotten kind of everything figured out. So the wait is, sometimes on the weekends we'll hit 25 minutes, but for the most part we're able to keep it to the 10, 15 minute mark.
I can attest. Yeah,
that's awesome. I also have to say, so this location is really cool because you're next to Rough Draft.
Yes.
Right? That's what it's called. And so you have like this really awesome outdoor space with mess hall, which did you have outdoor space at the other location?
Yeah, we did. So we had about the same amount of seating over there outside. Yeah.
So you got a really nice outdoor space, but then you can kind of watch this really humongous dog park / bar over there, and it's just gives it a little extra, because I know for my kids, when they come, they want to look over the fence and like see the dogs, and it's like this whole thing. So how did Rough Draft kind of come into play, and were they kind of around the same time or a little bit later?
So we opened Rough Draft back in September 2022. So kind of when I looked at this building, somebody was thinking about doing a dog park in that lot, because it's just such a good lot to have, especially in the middle of the city. It's pretty rare, and so somebody had already tried to do that, and it didn't really work out. And so I had some people on the team that were excited about that dog park, and I've seen them popping up in bigger cities and always thought it was really cool. And so originally that was going to be a part of mess hall, and then just kind of logistically trying to figure that out with the restaurant didn't work out, and the building next door became available, and we were kind of in a slow time in the process of getting this up and running. And I'm real bad about, I just like to be doing things, and if it slows down, I feel like I'm not productive. And so in the middle of this project, I was like, oh, let's do another project, and actually had my man, he's now my GM over here at Mess Hall. He partnered up with me. He invested, and he's part owner of Rough Draft now. And we kind of we worked really hard and got it up and running. And so I think we were up and running about 6 months before we opened up over here.
Oh, wow.
So if you're listening and not watching, so like we're in Mess Hall, and I look out the window, and there's like the dog park, it's green, and then on the other side it's another building, and that's just a bar. Okay, and like dogs can go in there.
Oh, so
cool.
Dogs can run off leash, inside, outside, which is awesome. And that was kind of, we couldn't have, only service animals are allowed inside the restaurant, like they can't be inside at all. And so that was just going to be an issue with people, like if they needed to come in and go to the bathroom, they're going to have to leave their dog outside, and it's just weird. And it's also awesome because over there, like, we have a to-go window that opens up to the dog park, and so you can walk up from the dog park and order food and take it over there. So it essentially just increases our seating over here to over there, and then you can go get drinks over there too.
So I want to kind of go back to those long lines, and the great feeling you must have had seeing all that. What is the menu that people are coming here for? Like, tell us like what you think about when you think of the menu and what people are loving.
So it is funny when I tell people that I have a burger restaurant, they're like, oh man, how many burgers do you have? And I'm like, I really only have 3 burgers on the menu. Our whole menu, lunch and dinner, I think is 8 different things. So we've got 3 burgers, chicken sandwich, a top bowl, and then a vegan burger and vegan top bowl. Really small menu, but we're able to execute it really well because we only have 8 things that we're making over and over. Every time we make it, it's the same, and it's the same quality, and we're equally proud of everything on the menu.
Yeah.
So I think you can have, you can have a menu with 40 things on it, and they can all be good, but I think it's really hard to perfectly execute 40 different things. And like for the kitchen staff, it's just so hard. You've got so much prep.
Yeah.
You go into waste, and like our order guide is just so small. We don't have that many things that we have to order.
Yeah.
Make everything from scratch.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot more efficient, and I think we can do it really well.
Yeah.
So, and we do obviously smash burgers. That's how I think that every burger should be.
What is it? I don't even know what that is.
So we just ball up the meat. We grind it all in house. We have it in balls, and then we just put it on the flat top and you can use a spatula, but we have like a smasher, and it's just this like piece of metal, and you just smash it down there, and so it gets nice and thin, but it makes it like stick to the flat top, and so it just gets perfectly caramelized, and you have this crispy edge, and then it just cooks on the flat top. It just stays in its own fat, and so it's so juicy. So you have this like, it's really thin and crispy, but then it's not dry. It's still super juicy because of all the fat and the cheese, and it's just, oh gosh, I'm still like,
I know you're.
I've
so
had them for
passionate
3
about it.
years, and every time I have one, I'm like, oh man, this is so good. I'll eat one like with people that work here, and I'm like, God, we have a good burger, and they're like, yeah, I know. Like, why do you act so surprised by this?
Yeah, no, it's I didn't realize that I really gravitated more towards smash burgers, and then actually I think this place was less like, yeah, this is how I really like my burgers, because I don't know, there's a place for big patties, but it is different. You're right. I love caramelization, and I think now you made me understand why I like it. Is I like that anything that's caramelized, whether it's a burger, onions, apples, whether it's sweet or savory, it's just better. It's just better when things are caramelized. So well, I'm glad we educated everybody in Rich on what smash burger is.
But then what are the menu items? Like, can you talk to me about some of the most popular ones?
Yeah, so our staple is the Samburger, and obviously it's named after me. I was originally, somebody tried to talk me into naming the whole restaurant Samburger, and I was like, that just seems too much. Like, I don't want to draw that much attention to me, because I don't like that much attention. But yeah, so that's the one. It's got onion straws on it. It's the 2 patties. Our burgers are double.
Oh, nice.
It's got patties, cheese, caramelized onions, onion straws, so they're like nice and crispy and so good. And it's got mess sauce, which is like a mayo and sour cream base with some mustard and horseradish in it, and bacon. And it's just perfectly. It's so. I can't even, like, every bite, you just get so many different, like, the gooiness of the cheese, the crispiness of the patties, and the crispiness of the bacon, and the onions, and then the nice caramelized onions. It's just so, like, every bite, you're just like,
seeing how excited you get talking
dude,
about
it's so
it.
good. Yeah, that's actually how, like, my wife was real on the fence about, like, me opening a business and, like, going full time with it. And especially burgers, because she didn't like burgers.
Oh, dang.
And I was like, let me get you to try this one burger. And I made her the Samburger for the first time, and she's notorious for, like, she doesn't eat a lot of meat, and so she'll, like, eat her sides and then, like, have meat left over. And so I made tater tots too. And so I look over, we, like, sit down to eat, and we're, like, sitting there talking, and I always talk too much before I start eating, and then she's already, like, she finishes. But I look over, and she has finished her burger before she even ate a single tater tot. And she was like, "Yeah, okay, you can probably do this. I think we'll be okay."
So I have a confession, and I didn't want to say this, but now you make me feel better about it. I'm not a huge burger person generally. And Rich actually made that comment because when we came here, I'm the same. Like, I'd get a hamburger, I'd maybe eat half of it, and I eat other things. And it's like, people are like, oh, I need to love a good burger. I'm like, oh, I could take it or leave it. There's other things. This was the first place I came, and I ate my whole. And he's like, you ate your whole burger.
Real, dude.
He's
That's
like,
awesome.
You never do that. And I was like, yeah, this is a good burger. I have to say, it's a good burger. So now I have a burger craving for mess hall.
That's awesome.
Do you guys have fries or just tots?
Just tater tots.
Okay, so tell me about that. I love tots.
Okay, so I'm actually. It's funny. I think that if you're gonna do obviously we don't make the tots from scratch. That's like the one thing on our menu that is we buy frozen. And so in our original space, we didn't have the space to do homemade French fries, and so we were gonna have to do frozen. And if you're going frozen tater tots are better than frozen fries.
Yes.
Like I always said that if we did fries, we had to make them in house, and we didn't have that space. But then people are such a dividing topic, and the fry people are so aggressive and have been from the beginning. Like they just talk so much crap about tater tots, and it made me angry. And so even now we have space to do French fries, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna ever do French fries.
It's good to be polarizing.
Yeah, like just because of I don't want to give into that pressure of like how rude people are, and I'm like, eat a tater tot, they're delicious. Like if you, I don't know.
We support that.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to say I'm a little bit more of a fry person, but I'm also not. I'm just not a burger and fry person generally.
Right,
So
yeah.
I'm not aggressive about it. But I know when he's like tater tots are the best, like more
dude,
of a
I
fry
love 'em.
person.
Yeah.
But it's okay. But I do like
Yeah.
your burgers.
It's better to
Do
dip
like
in
your
things.
burgers.
I mean,
yeah.
like, come on.
And dude, the Scott's Tots, like if you had the same.
Oh, what are the Scott's Tots?
So the Scott's Tots it's a loaded tater tot bowl. So it's got cheese and bacon. You can get fried chicken or chopped patty, pickled onions, chipotle mayo, green onions. It's so good. But I guarantee you, if you had that same thing on French fries, it wouldn't be as good.
No.
The tater tots,
That's
they
yeah.
absorb all of the stuff, and I
All
don't
right,
know.
maybe the Scott's tots.
Yeah,
I could see that. But generally, I like French fries with my burgers.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
will say Scott's tots. That sounds very good and would not be the same with French
Oh,
fries.
man.
So we've talked a lot about mess hall. We talked about the burgers. I think we kind of covered your personal favorite. So is your personal favorite the Samburger?
Yeah, I think so. I have ADHD, and like that kind of affects my eating a lot of times, and so I go through these phases where I'll only eat the Samburger for like 3 weeks at a time.
Nice.
And then I'm like, I can't eat this again. And so I just kind of rotate, and I think I really rotate between the Samburger, the old fashioned, and the McWhat, and that it's just kind of.
Can you explain those?
Yeah, so the old fashioned is just kind of your typical. It's got lettuce, tomato, 2 patties, and cheddar. It's got secret sauce, which isn't really a secret. It's just mayonnaise, mustard, and ketchup with some other. We do put some special stuff in there,
Sure.
But it's just called secret sauce. That's like the name for it. It's got onion straws as well, and then the McWhat is similar to the old fashioned, but instead of onion straws, it has a chicken tender on it. And so I don't know if you've ever heard of this,
No.
but if you go to McDonald's, you get a McDouble and a McChicken. You open up the McDouble and put the McChicken inside of it, and then close it up and eat it as one
not
full
know
sandwich. I've liked it since I was in high
Those
school.
are dollar menu items too.
Yeah, it's so cheap, and I'm not gonna lie, I still go to McDonald's, but that's what I get every time I go. But it's there's a lot of names for it.
Yes.
The most appropriate name is the McDank, but there's a lot of really inappropriate names that I will not. You can research it further and see what other people call it. Not safe for a family restaurant menu. And so I had the thought before we opened, I was like, man, I should have that burger.
Yeah.
I should have that on my menu, just kind of as a joke. And it's actually, when we made it, I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And it's been really popular. So
Awesome.
yeah.
I'm looking at the sign right now, mess hall. We never even talked about the name.
Yeah.
So I thought you were like military. I was like, oh, it
Yeah.
makes total sense. But even looking at it, it kind of has a vibe like that. And I mean,
Yeah, and that kind of, it's funny, I get that a lot,
Yeah.
and I understand, but we kind of, our original location was in this old Quonset hut, so it looks like an old airplane hangar. It's just this big round building, and then it was also with sharing the building with other people, it was almost kind of a food hall feel, and with the messy food, we just kind of, we threw a few names out there, and that one just kind of stuck, and we were like, this is it.
It's a great one.
Yeah, it just kind of made sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit before. Are there any events or special times that you guys celebrate or put specials on the menu or do, I don't know, just anything kind of special during the year?
Yeah, so we've participated in Burger Week 3 times now, which is put on by Port City Daily in Penguin. And it's just it's not a competition, it's just a celebration of burgers. And so all the different restaurants in Wilmington just do some sort of burger special, which is always really fun. And the first year we did the Brit Mac, which is like a Big Mac, except the middle bun is a Brits donut. And it's another one of those, I started thinking about it and it just was in my head for so long, and I was just like, I have to try this.
Yeah.
And I thought that people were going to think it was stupid, because it was like, I told some people about it and they're like, that does not sound good. I don't know why you're trying to do that. But then we made it, and it was actually, it's so good. It's so delicious, and it's also nostalgic because Brits has been around since, I don't know how long, but it's a really
Been
long
around.
time.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, we haven't
But-
gone.
I'm
We
not-
still have not gone to
not
Brits
even
yet.
familiar,
Oh,
man.
so good. Yeah.
But it's
And-
it's out at the beach.
Yeah.
Is it? People
Yeah.
that come to the beach, Carolina
Yeah.
Beach,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It's out at
yeah.
Carolina Beach, and it's like
Yeah.
you've got to get Brits. They're very
no idea.
kind of similar vibe to mess hall, so
Right.
it makes sense that you have
Yeah.
Brits because they're very classic. Like they do
Yeah.
a few things, or really one thing
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and people love it, and so I think it makes sense to kind of incorporate it into what you guys
Yeah.
have going on.
Would
Yeah.
you guys ever entertain? I guess thinking about it, probably not because of how busy you are. But like having a wedding reception here or something, or like a
We've-
bachelor party and burgers and
Yeah.
and you got all the alcohol you need right here.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people reach out to do that.
Yeah.
My big thing is just I don't want to. I've entertained the thought of having a separate space that we could do that, and
Yeah.
maybe even something that, we have seating that we can close down for stuff like
Sure.
that. But I don't want to have to close down the restaurant
Yeah.
for that stuff, because then people come out and they're expecting to have their burgers and we're closed. And
Yes.
it's just, I think that can leave a bad taste in people's mouth.
There's a restaurant that I don't know, like 3 or 4 times in a row.
Dude,
Yeah.
I didn't
Not cool.
call because I figured it was Saturday, Friday,
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
and we just went out there.
Yeah.
And they were closed, and I was like, okay, it's not going to happen again, and it
Yeah.
happened again. And so the third time I called, and so if I don't get an answer from them, I won't go out there. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a very good chance they have an event, so I could understand. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you could put a notice up or something.
Right. Well, and on the notice, I feel like something I've learned is you can try to put notices and try to market stuff and just try to communicate stuff as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always going to be
Yeah.
people that even
Yeah.
with us being closed 6 months at the old spot,
Mm-hmm.
people even on like 6 months in, people were still going over there looking for us. I'm like, it's been 6 months,
That's
and
great.
like we've blasted social media about
Yeah.
how we were closed and
Yeah,
everything,
you're
and
right.
people just slip through. So I try to be just as consistent as possible. So when people do just show up, assuming that we're open, when we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
If someone walks into mess hall, actually, if you could tell us where you're located, but if someone walks in, like, what's the vibe they're going to get? What are they going to be looking at?
Yeah.
I know they can look at the video right now,
Yeah.
but what do you want them to feel? What is the expectation that
Yeah.
you have for them?
Yeah. So we're at 2136 Wrightsville Ave in Wilmington. We're in the cargo district, so we're kind of on the outskirts. I think we're Cargo East. We're going to start calling it, and then the original is like Cargo West. I think that's right, but I might have them
Yeah.
reversed. I don't know
even know it's like
directions
that
very
already.
well, but yeah. So we're in the cargo district, and I feel like the whole feel out here is like we're using cargo containers and stuff, and like old buildings. Like this was a radiator shop for
dang.
a long time, and yeah. So we were doing digging and stuff, and found so many radiator caps, just random stuff in the ground. But it's kind of like you have this industrial feel, and it's kind of not like, it's not super like high end, like really fancy stuff. But then we also have some like kind of high end. It's this weird like almost industrial fancy vibe, but it's also just super simple.
Yeah, like the menu, though.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
menu
like-
is simple. I just try to do everything simple, and I think part of that is because I'm like, I say lazy, but I just like to do things. I don't like to overcomplicate things because then it just makes it so much harder. So with the design and everything, just as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Lots of black and white and concrete
Yeah.
and gray, but then we throw some colors in just to kind of make it stand out. Yeah.
My one of my mentors likes to say, "Simple scales, fancy fails." And
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have simple like outlook, simple menu, simple kind of vibe, simple decisions to be like, well, why don't we just do the dog park? And
Yeah.
I think it's been super fruitful. So I'm really
Yeah.
happy for you guys. We love it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else interesting about Mess Hall or your story, or something that you think people should know or maybe don't know? That's just interesting fact for our listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of my philosophy on everything. Obviously, it's a business, and I need to make money because if it doesn't make money, then it's not worth the stress that goes into it. But I've really tried to make it. I'm trying to do something, make a living doing something that I really like doing. And as a part of that, like kind of the culture that we've built in the team has been really cool. Just making it a really strong team that meshes really well together. And we have like we hang out a lot outside of work and have outings every quarter that we just go hang out and just like trying to make it a place where we can bring people in and make them better. And really, I joke around and say like we're making the world better one burger at a time, and it sounds super cheesy, but that really like we have such an impact on people's days when they come in and get a burger. And if you have a good experience at a restaurant, you can leave feeling better. Like you can have a really crappy day, have a really good experience at a restaurant, and leave feeling better.
100%.
And it's kind of the same with the staff as well. Like trying to make it a place where people work isn't the worst part of their life, and they enjoy their job, and they can make good money working in a burger restaurant. Like people find out how much the staff is making here, and they're like, they're just flipping burgers and like doing this simple stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. So I think I don't know. I get really excited on that.
She's big on that, man. I mean, you got A players, you pay them like A players.
Yeah.
And I mean, they shouldn't. I'm reading a book right now, and just a total side note, it's like motivation is not what the people you want on your team to require. Like it's already intrinsic. Like they want to perform well.
Right.
They want the feedback. They want to know what they can do better. They want to serve other people at a higher level. And it seems like you got that going on a lot here.
Yeah.
And they want to be appreciated and paid appropriately. But I think that's a great note. Mess hall is not only a great place to eat, but it's a great place to work.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to come to a place where people take care of their employees and be supportive of that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, and I think you can definitely tell a difference in that. Like you can tell when you go into a place and the people don't want to be there, and that does affect your overall experience. Like when I go somewhere, I want to see people that are happy, and like obviously in the service industry it's hard. Like people can come in and be super rude, but when you see people being super rude and the person's just taking it in stride and still okay, it's just, I don't know, it gets me excited. But then if I go in somewhere and I can tell that the person wants to be anywhere but there, I'm like, I don't really want to be here
Just go to any airport and TSA will show you that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Before we wrap, like, you've been here longer than probably anyone we know. What are your favorite spots? Like, there was somewhere that was like, that's my caliber, or that's somewhere I want to get to.
And it doesn't have to be a restaurant. It can, but what are just some of your favorite spots around Wilmington area?
Man, so my favorite restaurant in Wilmington, I say this all the time, Samburger. It's over, I think, either Chestnut or Princess, I think, and 4th.
It's over in downtown.
Yeah. But it's so good. That's the one place, like I have a lot of restaurants that I frequent. That is the one place that every time I've gone, it's just been so good. I've never had anything that I was like, oh, this would be better with this, or like they had an off night, because everywhere has off nights. But I've never had anything bad from there. Everything is just so good. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite, my go-to. A lot of like Los Portales, a lot of the food trucks, taco food trucks, really any food truck is good here. We go to Capricho downtown a lot, get some tacos. I feel like the more I think about it, I'm just kind of that, like, I guess more Latin cuisine, like Central American type stuff is what I always crave. So I end up at those places a lot. But I don't know, there's a lot of good places, and I feel like there's just always opening up, and there's even more coming here, which has been
it's
awesome.
happening. Like the less chains we see pop up, the better, in my opinion. But the more chains that pop up, there's an old store that needs a revamp or a rebrand, and I hope it happens, because Wilmington is just a good place, man. I think, and we've said this when we interviewed Blueberries. Like I think small businesses are really setting a good standard for each other. You know, so like no one, like everyone's gonna try and level up. When you got a place like this that they got to compete with. So it's like, why don't we all just win instead? So.
Yeah. No, I think those are great recommendations. We got to check out more of the taco places around here. We've gotten a lot of taco recommendations. And I mean, I think people just need to, if they haven't been to Mess Hall, because we hadn't been for the longest time, and then we finally checked it out.
Yeah.
And you're missing out, because even if you don't like burgers, we got 2 people that can testify that even if you don't like
100%.
burgers, this is a place where you might like a burger.
Yeah.
So one thing we did not talk about is sitting right in front of me. So
Yeah.
that's why I don't know how I forgot that, is they have really awesome milkshakes.
Yes.
That I have always been a fan of before burgers. And they have one that's a Cinnamon Toast Crunch milkshake, which I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh,
I'd
yeah,
never had a
so
Cinnamon
good.
Toast Crunch milkshake.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Same.
When we came in for breakfast, though, I was like, I just kind of want to have something with caffeine in it. I don't want just coffee. And I said, you know what? Maybe we could put some coffee
She
in.
did not, by the way. It was me.
Oh, so apparently
it was
they've got-
totally me, because I've done that with my protein shakes before. She's embellishing.
We have some
Accidentally,
debate.
I think.
We have some debate on whose idea this was. We may have to get this settled with the lady who was up at the register, and
Sure.
she
Yeah,
can
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
remember.
Sure.
But one of us decided that we wanted to put coffee in the Cinnamon Toast Crunch milkshake,
Yes.
and it was so good that apparently everybody working here that day had
Yeah.
a round of these
Yeah.
milkshakes.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do, we talked to Sam, and what we'll do is the week the podcast comes out, we're gonna give them a heads up and come in and order the Cape Fear Coffee Crunch. So that's gonna be that shake. Enjoy it along with any of the great meals or the tots,
Oh, yeah.
or any of the things that we have going on here. You will
Yes.
not regret it. And Sam, do you
Yeah.
have anything you want to say to our listeners or our viewers before we go?
Oh man, I guess if you're from Wilmington, you're great. If you're not from Wilmington, you're great too. If you've never been, you should come to Wilmington.
100%.
And then come to Mess Hall too, because it's awesome.
All right.
It's a good
Thank
way
you
to
so
end it.
much.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.